Are we recording? All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for joining me for our reporting, monitoring, and adjusting meeting. I truly appreciate the dedication and consistency each of you has shown during this implementation period. Your commitment to supporting our emerging bilingual students has had a visible impact on classroom engagement and language growth. So before we begin, let's go ahead and start off with reviewing our meeting norms. So our first one that we decided on was be engaged, be on time, and be respectful. This is observation video 3, reporting, monitoring, and adjusting. Part 2, formal observation. The purpose of this practicum observation activity is to provide the intern an opportunity to collaborate with his or her grade level team, departmental team, professional learning community, or campus faculty group in a 45-minute focused group discussion to improve student achievement. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off by introducing ourselves and our job title. And today I would like you to add how you have seen our strategies being implemented in your introduction, like our QSSA or our read, talk, write in any of the classrooms. So I'll go first. My name is Brittany Veasey-White, and I'm the intern here, and I'm also a first grade reading teacher. And I've noticed, well, in first grade, we are using a lot of the sentence stems to help with our writing for emerging bilingual students and all students. So I noticed that the sentence stem is really helping our students to write better and to understand what they are learning. Who wants to go next?
I can talk about fifth grade. Forgot to introduce myself.
Yeah, the introductions first.
It's Amado, the bilingual specialist. And I will talk about fifth grade. Fifth grade has been implementing read, talk, and write, also sentence stems. And then we can see it's fifth grade is the one that has the most number, the number of newcomers. And so this is the teacher has been coaching her to use all the strategies possible to support our EBs. And we can see results through the GFA. Yeah, so when I look all the GFA 1, GFA 2, and I see that our 13 newcomers, they have been improving the scores. So I can tell you that this is the strategy really helped the increase.
Excellent, thank you.
I'm Brandy Jones, the assistant principal. And what I've noticed, particularly in fourth grade, the partner talk strategy has helped. I know we gave feedback to a teacher to utilize partner talk, whether it's to acquire the English or the language, and or serve as the model to get students started to speak, because you have some reluctant speakers in both languages. And so I'm noticing that the partner talk, when I have the partner A and the partner B, the partner talk is, I see it, it's working.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sheikah Down, the principal here at E.A. Jones. And, as a leader, we have a bigger lens on seeing classrooms and through observations and giving feedback. And what I would say overall is when we look at from pre-K to fifth grade, if we are applying the strategies starting in pre-K all the way up to fifth grade, it does help build language acquisition, but also it supports students to want to be engaged and want to participate in class, not just in our bilingual classes with our emergent bilingual students, but also in our ESL classes as well. Because we do have a number of parents that deny services for bilingual, and they, have a choice of the students enrolling in the ESL class. So those students need support as well. So being intentional in our unit planning and discussing opportunities to implement student interaction protocols, such as the QSSA, the partner talk, and the read, write.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
Okay, right.
Read, talk, write, yes.
those are great. And just in the last 2 weeks, during our PLT meetings, that has been a main focus of giving real-time feedback to teachers on where to apply those strategies and also to clear any misconceptions so that once the teacher is in front of students, they're able to give that quality tier one instruction along with supporting students, so that they are, engaged on target and they're motivated to want to speak and participate in class. So I definitely can see an increase from the beginning of school to now. Uh, is there work to do? Absolutely. And I'm just very, stand strong on the fact that we have some good bilingual teachers that are going to make sure that our kids continue to grow and that we are going to, as a leadership team, monitor their progress.
Thank you.
I
Anna?
want to add something. We had our Hispanic Heritage Month, and it was amazing to see the kids in the museum, Walks Museum,
Oh, yes, Alabama.
were able to talk about their characters in English and Spanish.
Mm.
And they were feeling so confident about that. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, it's working because they can speak both.
It's
love
important that
that.
our teachers create just create a learning environment where
Mhm.
students feel comfortable to speak.
Yeah.
Are they shy? Absolutely, and if they have visitors in the classroom, it tends to just heighten the shyness, right?
Yeah.
But we have to be, just a part of our due diligence as educators is when we have newcomers, there has to be some type of connection. There has to be a opportunity to where we build a class community where the students are, willing and able to speak. And with the supports, I think, we're doing a good job with that piece.
Yes.
Again, I'm Elizabeth Guevara, I'm the school counselor, and one thing I have noticed is the kids really helping each other out. When it comes to either translating something or explaining it in their, the other language that they're having a hard time with. So it's just that collaboration among their peers. So that's something I have really noticed.
Excellent. So, I like what I was listening to what Miss Dow, I was listening to everybody, but it like clicked in my head when Miss Dow was saying make them feel comfortable. Because what I noticed is that like as a leadership team, y'all are really seen and y'all know kids on different levels, whether it's, oh, that person just works in the office. They know that this is the assistant principal, they know that this is the principal. So when y'all come into classrooms, even my classroom, the kids I feel like are comfortable. They're not saying, who is that, Miss White, like I've seen in the past. I noticed that they are comfortable because y'all have made them comfortable and y'all have gotten to know them, not just, or just staying in the office. Y'all are in the classrooms, y'all are talking to them in the hallways, y'all are working with us to help our team get better. So I appreciate that. And I think that helps as well. Like every little aspect helps them to come out of their shell.
Yeah.
So we already started a great discussion. But let's start by looking at some of our recent data trends and classroom evidence based on our TELPAS formative checklist and walkthrough notes we observed. So I know that we have increased student participation during QSSA discussion across all grade levels, noticeable improvement in vocabulary use and sentence complexity in student writing samples, and higher levels of student confidence during collaborative speaking and writing activities, and also growth in TELPAS writing rubrics, particularly in the vocabulary usage and complex sentence domains. Now, I would like to celebrate some specific examples, like some specific grade levels. So I will start, since I teach first grade, by saying what I noticed with some of our students. I noticed that the students are starting to use their sentence stems independently to justify their answers, whether it's doing reading, they can say, well, the character is feeling like this sad or happy because, and they're able to complete that sentence and be confident about it and actually understand. Also in math, by justifying their answer, I chose this answer because, or I worked out my problem this way because, and able to actually explain themselves. So I would say that sentence stems is really, really working in first grade. would anybody else like to share about any specific grade levels? I know you were talking about fifth grade.
Yeah, in every grade level,
Mhm,
because the kids need a start, right? So we start a sentence, right?
mhm,
They sometimes they want to express what they are learning, but they can't.
Mhm.
So once they have these sentence stems, they
Mhm.
feel confidence too. So I can see this happening. I love to see a student in fifth grade. He's a real newcomer.
Mhm.
Can we say the name?
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
no, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So he was so shy last year, and now when I go and observe him,
Mhm.
it's amazing to see how confident he is speaking English.
Yeah.
You know, you see that he's trying.
mhm.
Of course, it's not perfect, but he's responding in English, and I'm like, wow, you know. So it's working. It's really working.
I noticed, I know just to piggyback off of Ms. White in first grade, we've had to like split up some of the classes, would have to go to bilingual and monolingual. So I will say just on the social aspect of things, I feel like the way that the kids are now interacting with each other, they are acquiring like they're becoming, like you said, they're comfortable with speaking up, speaking out, whereas they were reluctant. Because of the dual framework, getting to fourth grade, the first year, I think kids are like, wait a minute, you're making me, and it's like intentional, whereas, they kind of was exposed, they've been exposed, but a new kid to that model was like, what's going on here? So whereas it was okay that you spoke English if that was your dominant language, even though you were in bilingual, now it's an emphasis on you have to speak Spanish too, build both the languages. So I, at the beginning with a particular teacher class that I was in, it was an issue, but now with the help of Miss Amato and our literacy coach, the teacher has been able to like be comfortable with herself with being a model, giving an example. This is how you say this, like the echo. I don't even know if that's a strategy, but some people just repeat after me.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's a strategy. Yes, yes.
Very, I see a lot of that.
Yeah.
I know in phonics that's something
Yeah,
built in,
yeah.
right? So I do see it
Yeah.
increasing. Just students just being really comfortable. Yeah.
I think it's important that we land on our students' first language, right? That's important. We do want to build a, proficient bilingual program, but before we can make it there, they have to be strong in their primary language. And when you think about the number of our students that only speak Spanish at home due to parents or great grandparents or grandparents they live with, they are coming to us, um, strong in their primary language, but then there's some that are not.
Right.
Because of, there's learning disabilities, that has not been identified until the current year, which may be fourth grade or fifth grade, right? So we have to keep all of those nuances in the forefront of our mind when we are considering making sound decision for kids based off of the whole child, right? And when we look at TELPAS and we look at students that may not be strong in their primary language, it's difficult for them to also be strong in the English language, right?
Yeah.
So, that plays a part as well. But also keeping in mind that a number of teachers, it has been years, like historical data shows, a number of bilingual teachers are not strong in English either.
Right.
And they don't feel comfortable speaking that language. And so it's like a double-headed sword here, because we're trying to build language with the teacher and build language with the student. So all that plays a part when you're looking in our overall data for TELPAS and what contributes to our overall scores.
And just to add to that, when you were talking about student identification, we are blessed to have a dyslexia teacher that is bilingual, because she's able, like, it was kind of heard of, the kids were this, like here. dyslexia bilingual student. It's like, what? And now you should see how many, and then to see how they have grown since they've gotten that support is like amazing. Like you can go look at some of their map data. It is, kid was red. By now the kid is like green. Yeah, like they are growing leaps and bounds. And you think about how many kids that have sat, right? And it was just like, oh, they're learning English still. That's why they can't, or they're learning, what puts a spotlight on it, what was a dual language framework, because you're starting to realize, wait, you don't even know your own language, with fidelity. So what are we talking about here? And so that was able to bring a spotlight to seeing kids who are struggling, and then we're like, wait, something's not right, because in their own language it's an issue. So as an SST committee, we're able to see some of some of the gaps in the learning that our students are having in bilingual. And again, I would say we submitted a lot of names, and but they are coming up through the support that they're getting now. So.
Yeah, there is a fine line about content and language.
Yes.
So when we keep insisting that it's language,
It's
when
like, yes, that took some time here to get teachers to understand. I
to
know
understand, yeah.
when Ms. Dow got here, we had probably finally broke the ice on it, but we still have to reiterate, like some of our older teachers are like, no, he's fine. She just shy. We know that teacher that we have to keep fussing at. We're like, no. They're not just shy. It's, it's showing out. It's showing up in their work. So as an SST committee, we cut it off. We need to, see if anything else is going on. So.
All right. So now students are using our QSSA sentence stems naturally, and also the partner talks are also a great thing. I even noticed that my students, they're ready to do it before I even say turn. They already turning, and they want to know what partner go talk first. So I switch it up.
So you pick the partners, right? Or is it intentional?
Yeah, there is an yeah.
Okay, you explain that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
So for example, in first grade dual language, we
Oh, that's
have
good.
students that some students they're strong in English, probably because they have older siblings. So when we have the ELD portion, that is the 15 minutes in English, or it's the basic phonics, phonological awareness and comprehension, writing in English, 15 minutes, but it's powerful, okay?
Yes.
So we have the bilingual pairs. So we pair the ones that are strong in English with the strong in Spanish. And it's so beautiful the way they help each other.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I see when I go to the
Yeah, so when you pair it's intentional, bilingual pair.
Oh, so it's just not like who's sitting next to you.
No. You have to have these in advance. And the teachers need to practice with them in advance to be able to be successful.
Okay.
Because if you pair a beginner with a beginner, nothing's going to happen.
Nothing may be said.
Yeah, but if you pair beginner with intermediate with advanced, then it's going to work. But we always tell the teacher, don't pair beginners with advanced and high. Because that advanced and high will be frustrating.
And bored, maybe.
Yeah, so you have to plan accordingly. Yeah, and it works so well.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it,
As well.
But that's the
Right.
misconceptions that teachers have, like they want to pair
homogeneous.
a beginner with an advanced, and not realizing the advanced is gonna do all the talking.
Yeah.
All the talking, and then in a partner share, there has to be equal opportunity for both to speak. And so if you have an advanced high student with a beginner, that could be intimidating for that beginner, and they'll never talk.
And make them shut down more.
Yeah, and not even want to participate.
Because sometimes they can be bossy too. Now I've seen it. And so that advance will turn into a mini teacher, right? And start like getting on the student. And like, okay, well, that won't work.
That's what I saw. Like in September.
Yes.
He's not saying anything, and I'm like, wow, okay.
But
Somebody crying.
But
Yes.
see student, and that I saw, I was beautiful. Like the other one said, I don't know English. And then the other one said, repeat after me.
Yeah.
repeat
Yeah,
after me.
Yeah.
The girl is sad because,
Mhm.
and then the other one was repeating, see, you speak English now. I was like,
Oh,
this is
yeah.
so beautiful.
I probably would have been
right?
crying.
Yeah.
It's good to see. So what another strategy, I don't mean to
No.
cut in, but another strategy was the sticks. That's the talking,
No,
Talking
the
shit.
chip.
Yeah, the
talking
chips,
chips,
the
Mhm.
talking chips.
but it's on the.
But talking chips is just
No,
making sure all
all of them.
Are
Yeah.
participating.
In a group discussion.
Yeah, this is another one. For example, in fourth grade, we have very shy students. They don't
Yeah.
want to participate.
For whatever reason, right?
So we have the talking chips in their desk, and then we say, we promote like rewarding. We say, okay, so if you all use your talking chips, then you're going to get a reward,
Yeah,
So now they're all talking. They
Yeah.
have the talking chips.
yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that too.
And so that may work better in fourth grade, where it's in a grade like first, we may talk too much, but we need to be specific, but we need them to talk. So I like how the different strategies, the teachers are, seeing what strategy works best for that group of students. Mhm. I also noticed that the talk, read, talk, write structure helps the students to stay focused
Mhm.
on what they're doing, because if they have to, they have to do something, whether it's just sitting there listening, then they're knowing what's going on. They're not spaced out. And like you said, even some of the quieter students are starting to speak out more because they are feeling more confident and they're using these strategies. So all of these strategies that we're talking about are fantastic. And these celebrations show that consistent use of the structured interactions creates visible language gains and student confidence. So now we're going to shift to some challenges. So growth is never linear. So it's important that we identify what's been difficult and brainstorm adjustments together. So what challenges have you seen or experienced while in the classrooms with these strategies being implemented?
consistency. I think that's the key. It's just, sometimes a teacher will get comfortable with using one, right?
Mhm.
And that's their go-to.
Yeah.
That's their jam.
Mhm.
That could be your jam, but also keeping in mind that we are lifelong learners. So we are here to add, new tools to our toolbox as well. So once you get comfortable and your students are, doing well with one, let's add a new one. What can you do to add? When we give feedback, we may go in and we may see a teacher that gives a distinguished lesson overall, but being that it's distinguished doesn't mean there cannot be a cherry on top of that. So just keep it in mind, what are your cherries and how can we put them on top to make that better? And that sometimes leads to adding another strategy to what you're doing.
I like
Just to piggyback off what Ms. Dow said, just teachers being competent in both languages as well. That's one. I remember last year I did observations where the word mint came up, like mint, MINT. The teacher had no clue on how to, like, she was trying to share the kids, like, what does this mean? Like,
Mhm.
what does it mean? And so she's looking around and she looked at me and I was like, oh man, like a peppermint. So I'm like, oh God,
Mhm.
So, but they have like, it is a lot of work in preparing them as well. Like, so the work that Miss Amato does is probably unmatched, because I'm gonna say it is, because you're not only helping, you're working with kids, but you're also training up the teachers, making sure doing those at-bats to make sure that they're using the correct language. Also making sure it prepare for those misconceptions, because she had no comeback for a kid that said the wrong. She was like, what do I say? So I just had to cut to English and, kind of explain it. But it was, you remember that?
I remember that.
Yeah, but she was like, oh.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just them, also being strong in both languages as well. It will take both languages. So you think that, I don't know what the bilingual test looks like, but
Hello, ladies. Good job, man. Picture for me.
We don't know, I don't know what the bilingual test consists of, but is it an English portion on the bilingual certification exam? Now I'm thinking
No.
about that.
No,
Oh, it's not?
no,
So how do they know if,
only when,
Because
when you are
there's
not,
4 tests that they
Yeah.
take. They take the language where they have to speak
what language?
Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all Spanish.
So
Then the
no,
bilingual supplement is not, it's all in Spanish as well.
if you, I had to take the English portion because I didn't graduate here. My
oh,
certificate is from Brazil.
so if you graduate here, you
Yeah,
don't have to
if
take the
you have
English
your
one?
college
United
degree
States.
outside of USA, you have
Take
to take,
the English.
yeah, the TOEFL, they call TOEFL. So you take, I took the English one
Mhm.
and then I took the Spanish one.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, so you've been.
But in the past, it was not required.
but you also keep in mind too, they can pass the test. It's the instruction piece. It's relating that academic content.
Mhm.
Because even with speaking to Ms. Gabar, I asked her just last week, when we're talking in your mind, because I think a bilingual
Mhm.
brain is like brilliant.
Me too.
Because in your mind, your first thought or tongue is to probably respond Spanish. So
Yeah.
just think, you can be very proficient in both languages, but if your native language is Spanish,
Yeah.
then you're gonna go to that tongue
Yeah.
and wanna respond in Spanish. So she's like, I have to be intentional when I respond
Yeah.
because I have to tell my brain to do that. So if she's an adult, you just imagine what a
Yeah, that
kid
is so
has to do
Yeah.
in order to do it, even though they say that the younger they are when they start with being bilingual,
Yeah.
the better.
Yeah.
Because their brains are easier,
They're
the
developing,
sponges,
yeah.
and they're developing, so it's a little bit easier. But I think that's very difficult to have to do. So in transitioning, and you're trying to just scaffold to find, like you said, mint. In Spanish, that could mean something totally different.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And so, and if you say it in Spanish,
Yeah.
the kids probably can pick up on it very easily. However, it may not relate and be the same as it is in English.
It was a phonics English.
And think about
Listen
that,
to
the teachers, most of the teachers, they didn't grow up here.
Right, yeah.
Mhm.
So
That makes
we
sense.
learn.
Yes,
So I moved here
yeah.
along 20 years ago.
Mhm.
So when I came here, Portuguese was my language,
Yeah.
So it's different. The kids, the dual language kids, they will be better for them because they are learning,
Yeah.
like English and Spanish at the same time. But for us,
Oh, wow.
Miss Guevara learned in English, right, at school. You were not a bilingual.
But you took one test.
She was not bilingual.
When I went to school,
Yeah.
they didn't have a lingo.
She didn't have.
So I was forced to
She was forced
be in an English setting and failing.
But did Spanish at home all day.
See?
And then you can.
But you also keep in mind there are other districts. You have to have a certain number of students
To
in order to have the program on your campus.
Yes.
So if they go to a campus that is 95% monolingual,
They are not.
and they only have maybe
No,
4 or
okay.
5 newcomers,
Okay.
then those students are
Yeah.
immersed in that monolingual class because the campuses do not offer that. However, those students are still responsible for taking tailpass.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did-
So
Did you get a, I'm just asking, you didn't speak much in school?
No.
Oh,
And when I did, it was just in Spanish.
so you found that one
So
person?
yes, well, I always found people that didn't speak Spanish or English, but I somehow was able to communicate with them.
Oh, yeah.
Like I had a
like
little
the-
Chinese
Yeah, the
with my
Chinese girl,
friend.
yeah.
And we
Okay.
somehow we understood each other,
Yeah.
just by doing mimics or
Oh,
pinpointing
yeah.
and stuff. And we had great conversations.
What?
I know that's right.
but also to the country, the dialects are different as well.
Yeah.
Like that, just, her Spanish, you got what, Cuba, you have
Oh, yeah.
Mexico.
But it's still
you have-
one bilingual exam, like.
It is,
Okay.
but I'm just
No
saying,
matter
think
what
about
part you
the
came from.
teachers here
Oh,
or
okay.
have different
From
dialects.
different dialects.
Because remember, we had a teacher who can pass the bilingual exam for years last year.
Well, I think the bilingual exam is textbook. No
Oh,
matter
now?
what, that's textbook, right? Yes. However, teaching is totally different.
Oh, okay.
Because you're trying to relate the academic content
Yeah.
and then pair it, and teaching students English. So I think it's just all.
She struggled, and her first tongue was English. Yeah.
So I heard y'all saying some things, and they were all good things that we can look at to, make better. I did notice that sometimes we can run out of time to complete the talk read talk write cycle because some students write slow. I have some students that are super high, but they really take their time. So in first grade, I like to kind of have the stuff printed for them where they could just fill in the blanks of the sentence them instead of just writing the whole sentence. Now, in writing, of course, we're writing whole sentences, but in, say we're reading and we're responding to a question, they may need the graphic organizer that has it already typed on there to cut some of the time. Also, some students need more scaffolding with sentence stems before they can respond independently. That's another thing that I noticed. So all of y'all's observations, I think, were excellent. I've also noticed some similar trends, like talking with different teachers about the talk phase. Sometimes kids can lose focus. That's just normal kid behavior, losing focus on what they're talking about. But that's important for the teacher to be walking around. I always like to listen in. Okay, like what are we talking about? We're talking about the character traits. So then they start talking about, well, I had this is talking about the character traits. So making sure that kids are staying focused while they're doing the strategies. What adjustments do you all think might help sustain engagement throughout the full cycle? Like, could we provide like some visual supports? I know some teachers use anchor charts. I like to always put the anchor charts on the I like to use a slideshow as well. To bring different color and put the anchor chart on there. Sometimes like a mini anchor chart to glue into our graphic our interactive notebooks and show our anchor chart. But what do y'all think some adjustments that we might need to use to help sustain the strategies?
All those are very important. I mean, especially for, I think all students, visual supports, because that differentiation ties into, connections with students so that, that's what anchor charts are for, is to anchor the learning. And so the more, that you're consistent with providing those instructional tools, the better it's for the students because you want to make connections. And that's the whole purpose, like planning with a purpose and making sure that whatever resources or strategy you're using, the kids are able to connect and they master whatever you set out to teach.
And I love making connections. I always like think about that in the back of my head, like if they're able to make a connection, then they can learn. Even something as simple as like just making them comfortable with making a connection. Like, I love to give compliments. That might be little to you, but to me that could seem big because I feel like once you do that, they're comfortable and then they want to like learn more. So that's also a connection, but always connecting like what we're learning to something that they've learned before or something that they've seen in the world or,
Real life.
even in social studies, I'm going to kind of go off with the connection. We were talking about the United States of America, and I said, hey, we were all here in the United States. And Camilla raised her hand and said, no, Miss White, I was not in the United States. And I said, oh, I am so sorry. I'll make sure I apologize and acknowledge her country. And we talked about her country as well. But that little connection, she was answering all the rest of the questions, staying engaged because this is not just, we're not just talking about the United States, we're talking about all of the countries. We were learning about countries, the difference between countries, states, and what's the other one? Countries, states, and cities. So making connection as little as that with one of my students that was not born in this country. Okay. Sorry, guys. All right. Also, this is a big thing with timers, like running out of time. I try to make sure, like in my class, I know Miss Anthony came in today, and students know the timer isn't started. That's another thing to help us when we're implementing the strategy, so we don't run out of time. So they're knowledgeable about it, and they can assist, because sometimes when you teaching, you may forget to start the timer. I try to put them on the slideshow and have one in the classroom, but they will make sure that they go start it, because we use that during turn and talk. They get 30 seconds. In my class is partner A, partner B. So 30 seconds each, equal amount of time. Your time is up. It's time for somebody else to talk.
How, your ESL students, you have any?
So I don't have any ESL students in my class, but I do, in the other class.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes. And they make me very happy because they're so excited to see me every day, and I'm excited to see them too. So, did anybody else? Okay, so we talked about the visuals. Oh, modeling also. We talked about because we're thinking about things that we can grow with our strategies and make them better. So what I really love is the PLCs when we're able to model, because we can't be in each other's classrooms while we're teaching. So what I really enjoyed last week was when I got to see Mr. Montesino. And hey, I was the best student in there, because he was saying, well, I know y'all don't understand some of the stuff. I said, Paquito, I understand. So like he did a assignment on animals, and I think it was about their eyesight. So we was I was saying dog, that, and okay, and then this was a cat, and they're talking about how they can see at night, and how. So he was like, he was excited because we were excited, because it was engaging, and he was, teaching us. And even though that wasn't our language, we could act like we were in the kids' place. And I always like to see from different points of view.
To see how they feel.
Yes. So I was like, okay, well, it makes you understand and makes you appreciate. And that's what I really like about this whole experience. Like, just being appreciative and actually understanding more things that, like you said, to add to our toolbox that I didn't know before.
The best practice. Yeah. And one thing, just learning from, you know, just being in bilingual classes, you have to have visuals, you have to have gestures. There has to be that time where you preview, review, view the content so that the students can make connections, during that time. Because if not, it's like all of that is in vain. Like all of it is in vain. Because if you walk away and less than 50% of your students was able to master that content, then that's a reteach opportunity for the teacher, not on the kids.
The gestures are so important. He was teaching the ELD lesson, and it was about reading a book and the feelings. It was about feelings. And then he was like, oh, now Sarah is sad. And then when he was doing this, the kids sad. So excited, so just simple gesture. And then the kids remember the words, because then he was doing first the gestures and the vocabulary, right? The word. But then later he was doing just the gesture, and the kids were saying the word. And you see that it's possible to learn, right?
Now, did you come from a dual language campus?
It was one way to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that, because that reminds me of the kids who may have just came, and they, like, if you just say, are you sad? Like, they don't know, but are you sad? And they can, it's like,
Talk about
literally, this just makes me get it just by seeing it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Just gesturing things. Everybody is using the same gestures, no matter the language.
My go-to strategy. I was a jester, like and they were like, what are you doing? I'm jumping when the things say jump. We're doing our interactive read aloud. And so, but I learned there were more strategies. That was just like you said, that was just my safe place, the gesture, and like find a side by side translation, which I heard is not. That wasn't. They don't look to. I know, but that's all I could do at the time. Back in the day. Yes.
Cross linguistic.
So let's go ahead and close by identifying our next steps for continued success based on today's discussion. And we'll focus on the following adjustments. And then feel free to add anything or any onto the things that I've decided. So the first one I have is maintain weekly QSSA and TRTW, talk, read, talk, write, implementation across all content areas. Develop a shared bank of sentence stems and visual supports by grade level. Um, Also schedule peer classroom visits to model effective transitions between talk and write, or in PLC. That's very
Yeah.
beneficial. And incorporate more frequent student goal setting using simplified TILPAS rubrics, and track growth through writing samples and speaking checklists like every 3 weeks. Do you have any, Miss Amanda, or want to add to those?
And also one is down measure about persistence,
Mm-hmm.
right? The teachers being consistent
Yeah.
with applying all that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Being evident in the planning,
Be evident.
I think you spoke about that in the QSSA, but like Ms. Al was saying, the planning has to be intentional.
Intention.
Mhm.
Especially just listening at the partner talks and all of those things. You have to plan for that. That's something you just can't.
Even experienced teachers, there's
Yeah.
no way on the fly, and, you know, you might get it right one time,
Yeah.
but that's just not an everyday
Yeah.
thing
Mhm.
that you need to roll with. So when we do our unit planning, it's not teaching units in isolations, but making those connections from unit to unit, but then also planning out, from that lesson internalization, where can you implement the strategies and what will be the result of it? I think that's what we have to keep in mind. Think about student impact, because if teachers are growing, the kids should be growing.
Yes.
If you're not growing and you're not adding new tools and you're not being intentional, then how do you expect our kids to meet their goals?
Yes. And I loved how you said earlier about planning for the misconceptions rather than just being like, oh, like when it hits you, you already plan like, well, what would I think that the students would say about this? And just have like a kind of list. So when it does come up.
Or mapped out,
Mhm.
right? With all of those misconceptions there, so that you can just have, I guess, maximize your instructional time.
Mhm.
Yes, we have the 115 minutes for ELA, but honestly, when you deep in it and y'all are having a
You
good
run out
time,
of
It seemed like, phew.
Yeah.
it's by
Yeah.
very fast. So
Mhm.
you just have to maximize it to the.
Yes.
Also, I'm gonna add like the linguistic accommodation sheets.
Mhm.
I think those are, what we talked about. We were gonna be intentional as the kids are growing in the English language. There shouldn't be as many checks, across the checklist.
Mhm.
Like we talked about it, I
Yeah,
think
we talked
last
about it,
time we
yeah.
tried to, we know some kids were ready to be monitors, reclassified.
Because
And because of so much support that the teachers had said they provided,
Mhm.
we couldn't reclassify. So that's something I know that I want to make sure that we continuously reiterate.
We had a meeting about that before the teachers, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Fill out the accommodation
Yeah.
checklist. So probably we need to refresh
Yeah.
when it's the second
The
time.
second time, yeah. You may start
Yeah.
here, but
Because we don't want to see a lot of check.
Checks, yeah.
Because if you are using a strategy at the beginning of the year, so are you still using the same strategy at the middle of the year?
And if
So,
it's not making an impact, like at what point do you just
yeah,
omit it? Like that this is not what he or she needs.
yes. But then it's again about content and language.
Yeah.
A teacher was talking about that when we gave the PD about that.
Mhm.
He was saying, well, but a special ed student or a student who probably would be referred
Yeah.
is not acquiring this, so I have to keep going. And I said, but that's a good document
Yeah.
because you gave the support,
Yeah.
nothing worked, then
Yeah.
you have to give the support again. So
Yeah.
this will be a good document to see that
Yeah.
it's not just language.
Another data point.
Yeah, not a data point.
Yeah. Yep.
So
yep.
it's interesting.
Yeah. So that's one thing they started the AP meetings with that, as LPAC administrators. Like we have to monitor those linguistic accommodation sheets. You're just not checking. And so what's good is I know what's going on, amongst the grade level. So I know like what's the strategy on here that should be aligned to to QSSA, a partner talk, so we should be seeing some of those things. Yeah.
And I have to say that it's amazing that we are doing that in kinder, in first, I mean, it's
Across
across
the-
all grade level.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the kids, when they were first in kindergarten, they do peanut butter jelly.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The part talk
Yeah.
part A and B, they call, yeah,
Peanut butter and jelly.
And
It's
then they go to
cute.
first grade. So as they are growing,
Mhm.
they know that this, how to behave
Yeah.
in this
Mhm.
strategy, right?
Yeah.
And it's consistent, like she said, across. So they know they don't come in there and like, oh, well, we did never done this before. They already know what to
Because they
expect.
are doing kinder, they are doing first.
Yeah.
So they're doing
Mhm.
second.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. So I'll compile today's discussion notes into a shared reflection document so we can monitor progress together. And during our next PLC, we can review student artifacts to determine which scaffolds are most effective. Before we conclude, I want to thank each of you, like seriously, like for real. Thank y'all so much for the collaboration and for your intentional work you're doing with our emerging bilinguals. The progress we've seen is a direct reflection of your dedication and skill. You're making a measurable difference in the students' academic and confidence and language proficiency. And as we close today's session, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the incredible teamwork that's been displayed throughout this entire process. Each of you has contributed your expertise, creativity, and care to help our emerging bilingual students thrive. The growth we've seen is not accidental. It's the result of intentional planning, collaboration, and shared belief of what our students can achieve. What I appreciate most about our team is how we turn data into dialogue, our conversations, and dialogue into action. We've embraced all these new strategies, QSSA, talk, read, talk, write, talking chips, partner talk, with openness and persistence, and our students are reaping the benefits. They're not just speaking more, but they're thinking more deeply, writing with purpose, and taking ownership of what they're learning. Moving forward, our goal is to sustain this momentum. Together, we will continue to refine these practices, support one another through coaching and peer collaboration, and celebrate every milestone along the way, which I love this school does, and it's so much fun. This experience has also reinforced my own growth as a teacher. I've learned that teaching is not just about, in the classroom teaching, but it's about empowering others, creating systems, and fostering trust. Watching this teamwork has been a powerful reminder that collectively we can truly drive student achievement. I'm so proud to serve alongside you here at E.A. Jones Elementary School in Fort Bend ISD. And thank you so much for your commitment to equity, to our students, and to our shared vision of excellence. Together, we are transforming learning one conversation, one strategy, and one student at a time. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
That's a wrap. That's the lady.